Attention American poker players! Do you want to legally cash out your poker winnings to PayPal? Then head to globalpoker.com and see why it's the fastest growing site for US players. That's globalpoker.com. Have you heard about America's Card Room? Already the most trusted US online poker site since 2001, America's Card Room deals out more than 246,000 hands of real money poker every day. And right now, Poker Stories listeners can get in on a great deal. Just head over to americascardroom.eu and sign up using the promo code CPPodcast. New players will get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000, 20 days of free jackpot poker, and 4 entries into the $250 new depositor free roll. Don't wait, you can be playing poker online right now. Head to americascardroom.eu today and don't forget to use the promo code CPPodcast for your bonus.
Poker Stories is an audio series that features casual interviews with some of the game's best players and personalities. Each episode highlights a well-known figure in the poker world and dives deep into their favorite tales both on and off the feld.
Hello and welcome back to Poker Stories, brought to you by Card Player, the Poker Authority, and hosted by me, Julio Rodriguez. This is episode number 20, featuring longtime tournament grinder and former #1 online player in the world, Ari Engel. Now, Ari is one of those guys who travels the poker circuit and is essentially homeless. He lives wherever he happens to be playing that week, and only owns what he can fit in his 2 suitcases. As a result, he's done really well for himself. In addition to the millions he won online, Ari also has nearly $5 million in live tournament earnings. He's currently tied for 4th place with 8 WSOP Circuit titles, and last year, in 2016, this guy somehow managed to win the Aussie Millions main event and cash 48 times. That's a cash every 7.5 days. Okay, listen to this crazy stat. Ari didn't even start focusing on live tournaments until after Black Friday, but he has now racked up 283 live cashes in his career. 283! 53-year-old Phil Hellmuth only has 279 cashes dating back to 1988. I'm sure he wouldn't agree, but Ari is the kind of workaholic that makes other workaholics feel lazy. He also has one of the most interesting backstories in the poker world, having grown up pretty much all over the world. Anyway, I think I've sold it enough. Here's my conversation with Ari Engel. I'm here with Ari Engel, otherwise known as Alan Engel. When did you make the switch from Alan to Ari?
My mother was given a single name, like in the Jewish tradition. There's like a Jewish name, and then some people have like a secular name. She just had one that was both. Her name's Miriam.
Okay.
And she wanted to like give us more of a choice, so she named us like Alan. My actual legal name is Alan Ryan, but I've never used that, and just like kind of to have the choice. And my full like Hebrew name is Ari, and I've always used like some derivative of that. Ari is like related to that.
And then, but when did people start calling you Ari as opposed to Alan? What, you said it was your choice?
No, so like I never actually went by Alan.
Oh wow!
Like yeah, it was just like only in the passport and driver's license, and yeah.
I just imagine like a two-year-old you walking around and, hey Alan, get over here. You're like, actually, it's Ari.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. Born in Toronto.
Yeah.
So you lived there your whole life.
Not quite.
Not quite. Okay.
I left when I was less than a year old.
Mm-hmm.
My parents went to South Africa. We lived there for about 3 years, and then moved to Australia, and lived there till I was about 11, 7 or 8 years, and then went to Israel for a year, and my mother did like a educational course there, and then we moved to Annapolis, Maryland, 2 years there. And then Skokie/Chicago, Illinois for my high school time. And
that's the home of Kaiser Soze.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
Skokie, Illinois. You never watched Never mind.
No, I've seen that screen name before. That's like I know this is like some cultural reference that I just don't get. I'm like horrible with cultural references.
So it's a Kevin Spacey movie. It's all good.
Okay.
I don't want to ruin it for you. So Chicago, then to
Chicago, then Israel again for a year after high school for like a post-high school Jewish learning program, and then college was NYU in New York.
Yeah.
That's where I met Andrew Brown.
Whoa, it's going too fast. Going too fast. I'll get to Brown Dog in a second, but
okay.
I want to go back. So you're well traveled. You're a student of the world.
Yeah.
What do you consider to be your nationality? Are you Canadian?
I'm a dual Canadian and U.S. Citizen, and I have dual allegiance. I like them both, and I'm happy to be citizen of both.
But like, what do you remember most from like South Africa or Australia or Israel? I mean, that's not the typical upbringing for most people.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, they all had their pros and cons to them. I mean, South Africa I left when I was 3 years old, so I really don't know anything about that. But Australia, I had the full Australian accent. I was into the Australian sports. All my friends, of course, were Australian, So that was really nice upbringing there, or like the early years.
So you even had the accent.
Yeah, I mean, I learned to talk there. I was completely Australian. Yeah, like
I don't hear it. I hear a little New York.
I mean, I moved. I was 12 when I came to the U.S. and I got teased a little bit for the accent and stuff like that. And probably like in retrospect, it would have been better to like keep it for longer, but I didn't make it through those years.
Yeah.
And so I just like over time, and then I guess like kids normally just like adapt to their new surroundings.
Your dad was a rabbi. You mentioned your mother was a Jewish studies teacher, so you obviously grew up pretty devout.
Yeah, that's right. I always went to religious schools, and like my high school, for example, we started school at 7:30 in the morning and went till 8:30 at night. And had schools like half day on Sunday even, and
it's a lot of schooling.
It was a lot of schooling, a lot of religious studies, and it's kind of weird because it's all like based on your mind or what you compare it to. So like, I never felt that like it was so extreme or anything like that, but then coming to a more like secular poker society, it does feel like I came from a more like extreme background.
Yeah, but it obviously turned you into a super genius, right? All that schooling, huh?
It definitely helped. Like I remember when I got to college, it was like this is all we need to do. Like what are we supposed to do the rest of the time? And that's when I learned poker. So there's a little bit of that, and kind of I mean there's people say, and it's hard to like know how much of this is just what people say and how much is actually true, but people say that like some like Talmud, which is like kind of the more advanced like Jewish learning that we used to do, is like good for like your thought process and teaches you a good way to think about things.
Like not just poker but everything?
Yeah like it's I mean like I guess the memorization kind of way of like teaching and schooling isn't really as applicable to this, and it's more thinking about things logically, and like there's a lot of independence and like responsibility as a good student and stuff like that. Like if you're a weaker student, not as much, but we would like spend like a couple of hours like each morning one-on-one with like a pupil and with like another student, just kind of like dissecting a passage and for a couple of hours, and then like have like a rabbi or like lead teacher like give us, after we try to like work through it by ourselves for a couple of hours, then we would get like an hour class in it, and it was just like not like not like a normal like high public school from what I gather.
Analyze some more.
And at the same time we still had like AP classes and stuff like that. So it was I think it was pretty decent. So
education. you never went through rebellious period? I mean, there's always the stigma of like the preacher's son or whatever.
Well, I'm a professional poker player.
I guess
you know, I mean,
yeah.
That's,
But never during childhood or anything?
I was a pretty good kid overall.
Two siblings, though. Maybe one of them got it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely my brother was more of the rebellious kind. But, you know, towards the end of high school, I would say I was more rebellious in my own way. Again, you know, very moderate compared to other kids, I would say. But yeah. I do live a, you know, super alternative lifestyle now, which, you know, coming from a traditional background is really not standard at all.
Yeah, I'd say untraditional on both sides of it.
Yeah.
So why NYU?
I applied. So I was, like I said, I was a pretty good student, and no one had really, like, from like my parents and grandparents had like gone to like a normal college, I would say, experience. Like a lot of them had college degrees, but it was like through like religious institutions or
rabbinical school. Or?
Yeah, or maybe like a you know, like where you take it online or that kind of thing, you know, but there wasn't like the normal
certification programs, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or yeah, but like going away to a 4-year college. So I didn't have really a lot to base it on. So I just based it on like there was ranking sites, U.S. News and World Report does for like college.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into the best possible school I could. So I applied to. Well, NYU was the worst school that I applied to.
Okay.
And that was the only one I got into. So, well, I knew I was going to Israel the year after.
Okay.
So, like, I ended up deferring, and if I wanted to, I could have applied again, and that's what a lot of kids in my... So it was, like, made sense to kind of take, like, the more leapy kind of, you know, see... but I really wanted to go to University of Pennsylvania.
Okay. They
have, like, the best business school, and that's what I wanted to do. But I got onto the wait list, but no cigar there. And I don't know. I don't remember if I ended up reapplying and not getting in or what it was. But I just kind of, I think, okay, NYU.
Well, I read, you know, you liked being close to Wall Street because you were dabbling a little bit in high school, even. Yeah,
I was, that's true, and I thought that's where I would end up. But yeah, I
thought you would be on the trading floor one day.
Yeah, I was day trading in high school. Like, we had one computer in our high school with internet in it, and like I guess maybe it was like limited. I don't know, but no one wanted to use it. You know, it was and I would go. I remember like going in our like short breaks and just like logging on to Ameritrade and doing some day trades and stuff like that.
Yeah, that day-to-day accounting is going to come up later, I think, in the story. But so you get to NYU, your business school is going well.
So I guess you could tell by my answer. I'm kind of conflicted about that. I ended up, I quickly realized like just how expensive it was, and it kind of felt like it wasn't so worth it, and I wasn't the best student ever or most serious, so I was like, okay, I got to get through this quickly to minimize the costs involved. So I did, but I didn't.
Most people I talk to, especially poker players, say, you know, it wasn't for me, so I just left. The fact that you were like, you know what, let's go through this fast, like that's a
well, I wasn't even into poker yet when I'm saying this. Like,
yeah.
This was like before I was into poker. I was just like, this is costing like 40, 50K a year. It's like, and I'm not getting enough out of it. Like, I want the degree, I'm here, that's good, but, and also like I was used to have a super intense high school and Israel learning program, so, you know, taking the extra classes in college just made sense.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Oh, yeah. So what happened? Did you finish? Did you get through
I finished. But the thing is that I picked my major, which was finance, just like based on kind of reputation, without even taking any classes in that, and that's like in the business program, and it's being close to Wall Street, but I did not do well at all in those finance-related classes.
Okay.
And so that was super disheartening, not doing well in those. then I double majored in management and organizational behavior was the other side.
Okay.
And that I liked, and that was kind of like my choice, but wasn't as applicable like career-wise. And then also because like I always maxed out taking summer classes, and well, I got like a kind of BS internship one year, but whatever I did, and maybe like looking back, I probably wasn't the most professional I could have been for interviews and stuff like that. Whatever the reason was, I couldn't get a job though after college.
Yeah.
So I graduated real quick. It took 2 years to graduate.
So you finished a 4-year program in 2 years?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so...
But I had a half year from AP classes to start, and then, there were a couple summers in there.
So I'm guessing you don't have a lot of wild college party stories.
Yeah, probably way less so than other people. But I still was... I mean, from my end, I was thinking, like, I'm not being a serious student.
Yeah.
So, like, even though I took a lot of classes, it's like... you still have, so like the normal...
It's just crazy you're giving yourself lashings right now for finishing college in 2 years. I mean, if you're lazy, what am I for taking 4.5?
Yeah. I mean, a lot is like what, compared to yourself,
Yeah.
So like, I know I could have done a lot better, yeah.
Alright, but at the same time that you're taking double the classes, you are dorm roommates with Andrew Brown, who is a bracelet winner himself. And tell me what that was like.
I was taking... Actually, the semester we were roommates was, like, I think the semester I took the most classes. Like, I think the norm was, like, 16, and I was taking 22 that one. And, but... Yeah, so I was more serious than he was study-wise, but he was like always playing online poker. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
To my mind.
Brown Dog 19?
Yeah, that's right. I was like kind of nervous about gambling, and also just was in debt to go to college, so I had no money. But
it intrigued you.
It intrigued me.
Yeah.
And just like... He seemed to like know what he was doing somewhat, so like I ended up watching him here and there, and then while I was watching, he was explaining his thought process a lot, and a lot of I would watch for a couple hours and then fall asleep, and then oftentimes in the morning he'd still be playing.
Yeah.
When I woke up, so yeah, so he was,
and that appealed to you.
So I started. I was playing on his account for like, which obviously is not legal. You shouldn't do all that stuff. But I was like playing, and I would have like a piece of paper, and I would write down like plus 12 cents, minus 7 cents, and just like had like lists and lists, like whenever he wasn't playing, like which wouldn't be very much, but and I would just be playing the smallest of small stakes. And then after, so we were only roommates for a semester, and then I remember like after the semester, it was like, I was like, okay, I want to play now. He's like, I'm playing, and that kept happening. So like at some stage, I had to open up my account. I think it was Party.
Yeah.
And I was playing it really, really, really small.
If you're doing an accounting of mine up and down 12 cents.
Yeah,
you're playing pretty small.
Yeah. So nothing really happened like from that Party poker account, and like days like
you were still focused on school.
I was spending so much on school, and and I thought I was just going to get a good job out of school. And
so was there any like big poker success while you were still in school those 2 years? Or didn't
I think I think maybe like I remember a $5 win for like $800. And I remember like I actually had a couple of Australian friends that were visiting me at the time. But not very much. I doubt I had $1,000 in profit during that time.
So you finish school, you can't even drink yet.
No, I could.
Okay. Yeah. And the jobs offers aren't coming in. Was poker like the backup plan, or was it in the meantime kind of thing, or? Well,
so I couldn't get a job in my industry, but I my cousin ended up hooking me up with a job for a company he was working for, and it was like not using any of the skills that I had got my college from, but it was paying $500 a week, and whatever, it was a job, you
Yeah.
know. So I did that for about 6, 7, 8 weeks, and you know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks into the job was when I found Bodog, and then really quickly it was like, okay, this is not a job that is leading me anywhere anyway, and so it was a pretty easy decision, which I did do with my parents, but it just didn't make sense. Like, it wasn't a job that I wanted, and I was like, okay, hopefully maybe I'll, I didn't really have like long-term thoughts so much, but I knew where I was.
So what, you put $50 online and it just went straight up from there, or?
Yeah, it was pretty sick. All of a sudden, I had been doing party for a while with, you know, no real anything, and then all of a sudden I deposit on Bodog, and it was like a different universe, and my playing style changed real quick also, where like I became a maniac, but I'm not sure like what was first, like all of a sudden making money, or
was it a different side?
But it was just my first year on Bodog, there was like almost no negative variance, which is like not normal, no matter how good or bad you are, and I definitely wasn't that good.
But this is also back in the day, you know.
Yeah, people and like Bodog was known. Bodog had been a sports betting site only. In September, they had opened up a poker room, and I started in November.
That's right. They had a lot of sports bettors who were kind of dabbling in poker, didn't know what they were doing. There was like a gold rush for a little while.
And also, like, the poker market was very segmented then. So, like, people that play online poker now are used to having one site, which is, like, the behemoth.
Yeah.
And then even there's, like, 2 or 3 other, like, pretty big ones. In those days, it was, like, there were 15 to 20, like...
Yeah.
No one was big, you know. Everyone was just so.
I remember 06 when here at the series where they had like a convention of all the online poker sites.
Yeah.
You would not believe some of. Remember some of the names of those online sites that lasted 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Juicy Fish, Steaks, Poker, whatever it was. I don't remember. There were some crazy ones.
Yeah.
So it's going well on Bodog. You quit the other gig with your cousin. When did you become the crazy person who lived in a basement?
So
that's a fun story.
Yeah, that is a fun story. So it's post college. I got the bad job, not paying a lot of money. So my friend is like has a bad job, also not paying a lot. Okay, it's New York, everything's so expensive, we're gonna share a apartment. And a lot of New York style things is basements, you know, they have like a basement apartment situation. So we were renting in one area and he got a job in a different area. And this was like, I had just probably quit my job like 2 months before. So I was like just getting into the full-time online, but I was playing all the time. Like, I was just playing all the time. So like he was like, I'm going to check out a new place. I'm like, go ahead, you check it out. Like
you were glued to the chair.
I was glued, yeah. So basically found this new place. We moved in, and that place, like the landlord lived upstairs, and I quickly became friends with him. And he, I taught him how to play, and he became really good. He has a second place in a World Series. He's deep in the main now.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. He became a professional poker player. So, it was like crazy story.
But he wasn't exactly, when you were living there, you weren't exactly your best self.
What do you like? What do you?
I just remember you telling me that you were like chain smoking, eating terrible food.
Oh
drinking, extras, and you were grinding like 20 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah. He had to repaint the walls of that place like multiple times. I was not living a healthy lifestyle at all.
Because people, you were at that time #1 in the world, right?
Online, yeah.
#1 in the world online. You'd won like I think the online Triple Crown a few times. Just crushing, but at what cost?
Yeah. And that's, I definitely was not doing a lot of poor health choices. but I was putting in a lot of volume and a workaholic for sure. Yeah, it was.
Do you remember when you just went, okay, I can't do this forever?
No, I don't remember the exact. I don't know that there was it's been kind of a slow process of realizing that the choices I were making were not good, and just it's hard to get out of habits.
Yeah.
So just over time, though, I've gotten rid of a lot of the bad habits that I had.
You're still a workaholic.
I still am a workaholic, but
just not living in a basement anymore.
Yeah, it's also it's a little bit different. People, I play the most live poker tournaments of reasonable buy-ins, probably compared to anyone, but that's because I don't live anywhere. So it's I'm always traveling and going to a new place and playing poker tournaments. But let's say I bust early, it's not. It's a different kind of grind than when I was playing online poker, and it was 90% of my waking hours were working.
That's true. Yeah, you bust a live tournament. There's not immediately 6 more you can jump into.
Yeah, and at different times, I've played a lot of cash or played to online tournaments after busting live, and my results in those, I'm trying. This summer, I was way better, although still I played too much, and it's just it's hard to know what's variance and all that, but my results in post busting in the cash games and sit and goes the last few years have not been really good. But it's so hard to separate what is and what isn't, but there's definitely philosophically is the idea that you put in too much, you're getting negative returns from that. So you have to do the right balance, but you're not going to become really good unless you put in a lot of.
Well, that brings it. You had a great quote. I think it was an interview we did together a few years, maybe last year. I've always been worried about the future of poker, and I kind of look at it like a professional athlete. These athletes have a very limited amount of time that they can make their entire life salary before their bodies won't let them compete anymore. I didn't think there was any chance I was going to play poker for the rest of my life, so in my mind I was trying to win as much money as possible during that stretch to give myself a nice head start.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a ticking clock for poker players?
Maybe, so I get a lot of different, when you read other people's opinions or talk to people, there's basically 2 schools of thoughts about the future, and online at times doesn't look very bright. Robots and stuff like that, and advanced.
Oh, I wasn't even talking about that. I meant just more as in you being physically able or mentally able to handle.
But that's the context of that quote is outside forces not allowing me to make money.
Exactly.
Poker,
you're right.
Or my own brain, or there's so many. It's too many different ways that I could potentially not be able to make. In 2006, I was online #1. If you look through the 100 people, there's Johnny Backs and maybe 2 other people still in poker. It's almost no one, actually stays for a long time. And, of course, it's normal to have really big downswings and stuff like that. And I've gone through them, and you can't help but question yourself during those times. So, it's there's no reason to think that just because I was profitable yesterday that I will be tomorrow. So that's kind of that, or there's no guarantee that I will be tomorrow just because I was yesterday.
Well, putting robots and the future of online poker aside, when you sit down at the table, do you see a decline in the 40s, 50s, 60s players that you're playing against, or do you think they just didn't start off as good because they didn't have the online poker background, they didn't see as many hands as you did when you were in your 20s, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's way more of the latter, where if you didn't play a lot of online, it's just really hard to get good because you can't put in enough volume, and also it's easy to draw the wrong conclusions.
Right, so when somebody in their 50s can't compete anymore, it's not necessarily because their brain is failing them, or they can't keep up, or they're not as sharp as they once
there's
were.
plenty of older people that get access to the modern resources through coaches or playing online or whatever, and who are very good, and maybe it's even an added advantage that you don't look like a young hotshot. You know, but at the same time, you know, at some stage there is that decline, but I don't think that's like
for everyone but Eric Seidel.
Yeah, no, well, Eric Seidel's not that old also. Like, you know, I mean, I don't want to name names, but, you know, or, yeah, I mean, there were just, like, rumors throughout the years of, like, different top pros, like, towards the end of their lives. Like, I don't play in these, like, super high-stakes games with them, but, you know, that they've, like, over the years, like, these guys who were, like, super legends, and then they just, like, were kind of giving it away at the end.
Yeah.
But that, I feel like that was, like, way older. But yeah, to me it was a lot like if poker stays with a high, you know, this kind of same level that it's been in the last few years where, there's a lot of pros, but there's still, you know, a lot of people who are non-pros that are interested in it. And there's, you know, both serious non-professionals, you know, who are not very exciting to me. If you're a serious non-professional, I'm not really making much of you, you know. Yeah. But, you know, and then there are people that are really, like, just like to play a little bit and don't work on their game. And, you know, those, in the long run, those are the people that are kind of paying for the pros to make a living. And there's, you know, there's a worry, like, will they continue to do this?
How long can they lose and still keep coming back?
Well, and then you have, like, we're kind of, like, some of these sites, like Bovada, they kind of said, well, you know what? You poker pros, we're kind of sick of you, so, like, we're going to cut you off from all our our soft sports betting players, and we're no longer going to let you, because, like, you guys and us are, like, these people are depositing $1,000, and if they lose it to us in poker, we only make $12 in rake. But if they lose it to us in sports betting, we make all 1,000.
Exactly.
And so you have the same thing in Vegas going on, where, you know, poker rooms are closing down, and these casinos kind of don't want us. And then I also feel like it's somewhat the other way, where, like, we're probably, like, getting net from this exchange, like with the casinos where there's, like, a bunch of gamblers around and some of them coming to us.
That's right, yeah.
But we're also losing somewhat because there are poker players around, and then they're going into the pit and losing a bunch. So
I just ran into a poker player on the way up here who said he won his buy-in in the pit a few hours ago.
Yeah, but, you know, the old line, how much did you lose, you know? I've always said that I don't think poker belongs in a casino, and, you know, we're not playing against the casino, so, like, why can't this be hosted anywhere? All we need is a trustworthy host. Like,
why aren't there poker arenas?
Yeah, exactly. Like, or, like, just like a poker room. Like, why does the poker room have to be in the Bellagio or in here or in, you know, wherever? And, you know, and I wish in places where there weren't casinos that they would just allow, you know, I think casinos are, like, not very good for society, like, as a more towards the libertarian side of things, although I wouldn't call myself that. Like, I'm more towards, like, the live and let live, and if people want to do stupid stuff, they're allowed to, but I can
support the right for people to lose their money in a casino.
Kind of.
Just don't think it's good for them.
No, but I can see at least, like, strategically from a societal point of view where the majority of people in a certain state would say we don't want casinos here, and that's, like, logical to me, but I don't see the same argument for poker rooms. And you know, I wish you would just have, like, a poker area to play, where, like, some states do kind of have that, but it's not so amazing.
Well, just to play devil's advocate, what if chess was more like poker and it was played in casinos? Do you think chess would have more players?
You know, the rough part about chess is just...
Well, I mean, it's a tough game to jump into.
Yeah, just, like, inherently, because there's no luck to it.
But my point is, like, just being in the proximity of a casino might just create more players.
It might, It might create more action.
I don't know.
But it might not. I'm trying to think of, like, some other, like, I mean, all the esports and stuff like that, they have nothing to do with casinos and have tons of people into them.
True.
I don't... Yeah, I mean, I just think there's this historic thing where it is, like, in casino, but, like, I mean, Commerce and things in LA, they're kind of casinos, but, like, they're, like, half-ass casinos. Like,
they're mostly card rooms.
They're mostly card rooms.
Because they can't run Vegas-style games.
Exactly. And, like, I think the one in France, which got closed down, Aviation Club, I think that was only poker.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, like, in Florida, most of them are just card rooms, or they
Yeah,
have,
or the semi. Yeah, exactly. It's a limited
they'll
kind
have,
of
like,
thing.
highlight or something like that, dog track with it or something.
Yeah. So I don't think you need, but I mean, obviously, I'm not an operator. And they all love, like, it's hard because they're like, oh, we need the casino to support it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, what do you mean? Like, in order to have 1.3 billion in profit, is that what the minimum support level is? Like, you know, yeah.
Well, people don't remember, but before the moneymaker boom, poker was popular, and then right before the boom, it kind of died off, especially in Vegas, where people were just, like, shoving slot machines where poker rooms used to be. So if we're not careful and keep growing the game, it could happen again.
Yeah.
And you're the type of guy who's always fighting online, or especially on your Twitter feed. I'm constantly seeing you fight for awareness on the legislative front.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to see happen with online poker, at least here in the States?
Yeah, I mean, I wish basically the bigger the network is, the better it is for poker players.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure about what all the legal issues are and stuff like that, but I don't see a reason why one day we couldn't have a whole bunch of states together, and maybe even some foreign countries together on the same network.
Yeah,
and
an opt-in network.
Yeah, and it would just be, I mean, if you got, like, okay, so this is the thing, like, I play in Jersey in the legal sites, and yeah, like, if you go on, like, a Thursday at 3 p.m., it's not so exciting, or at whatever off time. But if you want to play a nice Sunday grind from, like, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. register about 10 tournaments, and it's beautiful. There's like so many nice tournaments to play, and it's super enjoyable, and it's legal, and it's protected, and that's just one state.
That's just one state.
Yeah, and like, if you happen to live in Jersey and you're not a professional and you just like to play a little bit, you hit the jackpot.
It's perfect.
It's amazing for you. And so, like, the more states where that happens, that's and then if you're a poker pro from Jersey, you're also completely at the jackpot. And then a few people move to each state, and, you know, a few more professionals come to, like, at different times. But the more, you know, like, people are, like, kind of nervous about the fragmentation of online poker, but I don't know, from my experience and from or not my experience, but from the stories I hear, the poker pros in Jersey are loving it. The poker pros in Italy are loving it. The ones in France are loving it. Now, the ones in Spain all left, so they weren't loving it. You know, so I don't know, but I feel like you get to play in, like, a fragmented, super soft
that's fine for you, and if a state like Utah or whatever says no to online gambling, that's fine too. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that, like, the way, like, that also, like, works out, like, constitutionally really well, because kind of the way Constitution works, our states are supposed to be allowed to have their own, with these kind of issues in particular, each one should kind of have their own rules.
Yeah, issues that don't affect human rights.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. It seems almost like wishful thinking. Like, my friend in Pennsylvania, who, like, I'm always sending him links and, like, don't give up hope. It's about to happen.
There was a chance.
He's like, you've been saying the same thing to me for 5 years. Like, every day it's, like, almost around the corner, it seems. So it definitely gets, like, disheartening at times. And, like, it almost seems like it's one of these things, even though, like, they pretend like there's things we can do, we can send, and I'll send some tweets and all that, and I'm sure it somewhat helps, but it does seem like it almost doesn't, you know, at times. So.
Until it's financially beneficial for politician A, B, and C.
Yeah,
it might not happen.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, it's
It might not happen. So parents were cool with it. Parents were cool with poker.
Basically, I mean,
which is not what I would imagine from a rabbi and a Jewish studies teacher.
I mean, it took a little bit of time. So, like, I remember at the while I was still in college, so, like, not at all professional and you know, barely making money. They came to my dorm room, and I had, like, I think, like, the different sites were sending, like, CD-ROMs with, like, their you could like their free download with maybe like $10 attached to it.
Okay.
And I had like some sort of mailer or something, and I remember hiding it before they came, like just so it wasn't out, you know. So like I wasn't, while I was getting into it, I wasn't at all open about it. And then the first time I like said I mentioned it was like I just made 10K the last 3 days playing online poker. Like I kind of want to quit my job where I would make that money in 6 months. So you know, so that was like the first time that was mentioned. I already had success and some success, and so it was kind of like that. And it was like I only want to see short term how it's going to end up, and I'm not giving up anything. So
yeah.
But then over time, like as we've had more discussions and, you know, spoken about the nature of poker and what it is, and, you know, kind of the distinctions between, you know, poker and other games that go on in casinos, and the similarities between, or not necessarily similarities, but the fact that gambling, which sounds bad, is really something that we all do. In all our decisions and all our lives. And you could be a rabbi or a Jewish studies teacher, and here are the examples where gambling comes into play in your jobs. So yeah,
and you should have been a lawyer.
So that's
Dad Exhibit A.
Yeah, and with like one of the things that's like real prevalent in our community that I grew up in, or that I've grown up in, is like on like Jewish Sabbath, Friday night and Saturdays, we tend to like there's heavy restrictions on what you can do. So like it's basically like pray, eat, and sleep. And so we have like a couple of really big meals where usually invited guests and stuff like that. So over the years, anytime I'm at my parents' house, I'm always making this like poker pitch, explaining what I'm doing, and then kind of selling poker to just over and over and over again. And so they've bought into it and big fans. And you know, whenever I do well in tournaments in Florida, they're like, that's where they live, so they're like, they want to come to final tables. And I mean, they've spoken about flying in, like, but I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. I'm probably gonna get 6. Let's not do anything crazy, you know.
I'm guessing they didn't fly into Australia.
No.
So last year, beginning of the year, biggest score of your career, $10,000 Australian buy-in. It's like what, 7,500?
Yeah.
US. 1.12 million. You are the winner. What did that feel like?
That was pretty amazing. You know, I've been playing the bigger tournaments for a few years and gotten a lot of 14s and stuff like that. You kind of start questioning whether you actually want to, or whether you're actually able to hit any huge scores. So there was that, and then just to their prestigious tournament to win, you know, one of the biggest tournaments in poker.
Yeah,
you know, it's amazing. And
back in Australia, where you lived for quite a while.
Yeah, exactly. I had a huge rail of family and friends there. It was like almost.
The accent come back a little.
I like when I'm there speaking to like the friends, I'll like maybe a couple of words. Like the big thing they do is like R is like really silent a lot of times. So like we do like hard and they do like hard. Yeah.
Almost Boston like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I like soften up my R's when I'm talking to them and stuff like that, I guess.
That's good. Big score there, but you have 8, is that right? 8 circuit titles?
Yep, yeah.
Was that number 2? Tied for number 2?
Yeah, maybe 3
it's
now.
Up there.
It's up there.
Is that your goal to be the all-time circuit leader?
I mean, it was at one stage. That was pre-Maurice, though. You know.
Yeah, he kind of went on a run.
He's an unstoppable force.
Mr. Hawkins.
Yeah, I don't see he got recently, I think, a second in one of them, and I was like, come on, just do it already, and like make me like lose my hope, give up any chance. You know, as I've hit bigger scores and moved up and not played as much of those, it's not as realistic to think that I'll be number 1. So we'll see. I mean,
so you are risking a little more, because the last time we talked, you know, you're known as like one of the more risk-averse poker players out there.
Yeah.
Very conservative with your bankroll, on taking shots and stuff like that, and it's obviously kept you in the game. But you said that it's cost you money as well.
Yeah, I think in the long run, it's definitely cost me, just like forcing myself to have a ceiling.
Yeah.
When who knows who knows what could have happened. But in the even well before Aussie Millions, I was like making a really conscious effort to increase my average buy-ins and move up stakes, and I'm still somewhat doing that. But I mean the like super high roller and high roller world, you know, I just want to be cautious when it comes to that. That's like a little bit. There's like when it comes to like main events and stuff like that, I play most everything. There's not really main events that I don't play because of like the buy-in. So it's I've definitely been moving up.
Just to illustrate how much you're playing, you cashed 48 times in 2016.
Yeah.
Does that number seem accurate to you?
That seems accurate.
That's 4 months.
Yeah. In May.
That's cashing.
Yeah, I mean, but I probably played like. Also, like everything's re-entry now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna count that, I probably paid like 280.
Tournaments?
Yeah, probably
or
something.
Buy-ins.
Buy-ins, entries, 280 entries, probably I would say.
That's a lot of time to spend on the road each year. You mentioned you're basically homeless, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
You have no stuff anywhere in the world?
I mean, you see it all over the floor.
I see all your belongings all over this room, but there's nowhere where you have a TV somewhere. Or?
No, I got rid of those stuff.
You have a backpack and that's it.
I got 2 suitcases, a backpack. I've been in Vegas now for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So besides for gaining physical weight, my luggage has also gained weight, and so I have to slim it up before I go back on the road because it's like easier. But yeah, no, I have the 2 suitcases, and I've been on the road since the beginning of 2013,
and haven't parked it anywhere. For non-poker reasons. I
like take short breaks. I visit family. I go on vacations and stuff like that. But I haven't done a long-term
do you foresee that ending
rent or something like that. At different times, I've thought that it's going to end very soon, and then like I either hit a big score or something that gave me more incentive to grind a lot live. It's hard for me to predict really what's going to happen going forward. But I'm doing well in live, so I think I'm going to play way more live poker than online.
But there's no part of you that wants to pick a fence and a dog and...
I mean, definitely, I wouldn't say no part of me, but just kind of the way the world is working right now and the way that I am, this seems like the move for me. But I can easily see it changing like next week, and I can also see this go on for a few more years. Yeah. It's really hard to predict the way things will be.
We got some rapid fire questions to close out the podcast. What's the worst bad beat that you ever put on anybody?
I was playing a Sunday major on, I think it was Party also pre-2006. So this was a long time ago. And all 3 of us had sets, and I had bottom set. and then I had quads afterwards.
That's fun. Was it a big important pot, or was it just a fun one? I think it was...
Did
you make the most of it?
No, I don't think I had anything too amazing from it. Also, so one that I did in one, I chopped a PokerStars Sunday Million 3 ways, and deep in that, maybe one was the final table, but there were 2 of them where I beat aces with like one was like 4-3 and one was like, there was.
These were the aggressive days.
Yeah. Yeah. I got
running that 4-3 into aces.
Yeah.
Biggest pot you've ever won or lost? I don't know how much cash you're playing.
I've played a fair amount of cash. Biggest pot I've won or lost. lost. I mean, Aussie Millions Final Hand was the biggest pot I won. Jackson,
that was worth like what,
yes.
300K difference?
420K difference.
420. There you go.
Yeah. So that was big, and yeah.
Toughest time of your career?
Well, so like I ran amazing at the beginning, and the fact that I built up a safety net from those days really is like unfair almost to like some of the other people that I see. Like, I mean, obviously there's people throughout the world going on, so like I've been really blessed to like not even go through like really tough times, relatively speaking. But you know, I mean,
let's say you set yourself
I've gone
up
through
to not have tough times.
I mean, I've gone through 150K downswing playing like a lot of circuit events and a lot of stuff where I felt like I had a big edge, and like everyone, you know. And the thing is also, when I play this volume, everyone always thinks I'm crushing, and because like I'm getting cashes like 4 cashes a week, but I'm playing 10 tournaments a week and playing 4 times the vines, and no one, you know, I'm in for like 6 bullets in this, and then I min cash, and it's like looks good, you know. I still, you know,
you're a very modest guy about your abilities, but like you said, you go back to 2006, you look at that top 100 list, and it's you, Bax, and maybe another guy. That's it. That are still doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Got to shake that modesty, man.
No, I mean, it's not. I mean, poker like that. If you think you're like amazing, you know, there's Hellmuth like that, and then all the other people that think like Hellmuth, like, you know.
Right.
You know, they don't, you know, so like.
Well, they're the people who believe they need that level of confidence to play at their highest level. I
mean, yeah, like, there's definitely you need the right balance between it, but if you're going to be too much one way or the other, probably like from what I see, like the people that are like self-depreciating and like don't think they're so good, and like that's how you're going to get better. Like if you always think you're making mistakes, like you're probably going to get better, but you also need to have some sense of self-worth and confidence and all that, you know, because you're gonna lose all the time in tournaments. So when you're losing all the time and you like let it get to you and think that you're not good, like it's not gonna be good. So you need the right balance there, which is not easy. I don't have it. I mean, I'm working on it.
Do you wear headphones at the table?
Sometimes.
What are you listening to?
I listen to podcasts sometimes. I listen to music-wise, like James Taylor and Cat Stevens are my 2 favorites.
School.
Yeah. And then like I listen to a lot of different poker podcasts, and I listen to like some of the more like mainstream, like Sam Harris and Joe Rogan kind of things. But like very often I don't. It's like I have like all this stuff. Yeah, no death metal. I'm like the stuff I listen to and whatever is like similar to what I listen to when I'm at the gym or whatever. It's not. There's no like particular like.
There's
poker
no poker
stuff.
Playlist.
Yeah. And very often I don't like. It's probably better to pay attention and not listen to stuff.
Yeah, that's why I can't do podcasts. Podcasts require my full attention. I need to be doing something easy like driving. Who's the best poker player we've never heard of?
Okay, I can't say Foxen anymore.
Yeah, that guy is.
Yeah, he was crushing.
He's a guy with 2 names too. Goes by Alex.
Oh, in that sense, and William.
William, and then Alan and Ari. Get yourself 2 names, you'll crush at poker.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that.
I don't know if everyone knows Will Alex Foxen.
Okay, so yeah, that's a pretty good name then.
I think he's a top 10 in the WSOP Player of the Year race. I think he won a bracelet or came really close to a bracelet last year. I can't remember. But
I played with him a lot in the last 2 years traveling around, and we always battle a lot. He got me good in a Borgata WPD with like 30 left.
Mm-hmm.
I 4-bet shoved into his aces. I had king queen, so that wasn't good. And Alan Kessler made fun of me on Twitter for spazzing out, which was a true story.
You could wear that like a badge of honor.
Yeah, that was not.
There you go, Mr. Foxen. There's your shout out.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like Chris Pratt to me. Every time I see him, I'm like, oh, he looks.
A lot of people confuse him and Barry Hatter.
Yeah, okay, I
Yeah.
could see that. Known Bear a little longer than that.
I played with a guy in the main who looked exactly like Aaron Massey. And he was
really?
like, I was like, after like 20 minutes, I was like, do you know Aaron Massey? He's like, I've gotten that 20 or 30 times, so yeah. It was like uncanny.
Aaron does have a brother.
Yeah, but I know Ralph. This is cousin Massey.
Worst job you had before poker?
I like the jobs I. Oh no, I guess the worst one, I worked in like in the summers in college. I worked for like some like student job, working in the college at like one of the universities.
Bookstore?
It wasn't the bookstore. It was working for like, let's say like. It wasn't the English department, but like, let's say working for like the English department thing, doing BS.
Just boring?
Yeah, just boring.
So you never had you never flipped burgers or?
I worked at baseball games selling hot dogs and peanuts and water. That was
Yeah,
a
but that
great
sounds
job.
like fun.
Yeah, I worked at like day camps with developmentally disabled kids. That was a good job.
Mm-hmm.
This is a questionable job. During high school, when I was like more into things, on part of like the Jewish ritual Sabbath program is you read from the Bible, and it's written on like a scroll without vowel. It's very different. You need to say it in like a special tune, and like if you don't like practice it in advance or know what's written, you're not going to be able to just read it, because like the way Hebrew works is there's like dots and stuff like that like give you the vowels,
different inflections.
Yeah. And so without that, so anyway, I did that job where I would also, you can't drive on the Sabbath, so I would walk in Chicago. It could be like horrible winters, horrible summers, both are horrible, and I would walk like 40 minutes each way, and then also be practicing hours, like, you know, all week basically. Each week there's a new portion you read. Yeah. And then have to like read / sing it to like the congregation. And I made so that was a job that I had, and I think I made like a different times. I did it for like 3-4 years, like almost every week. I'd make between like $50 and $80 a week. Yeah, and yeah. So that was.
You had me at no, just walking.
Yeah, the walking part was good, and then tons of practice and all that.
We end the podcast the same way every time, with a question from the random question generator. And your question is, what was your worst restaurant experience?
Worst restaurant experience? I
know mine was at a Denny's.
I don't feel like I have any noteworthy bad restaurant experience, or like, you know, anything super fun. Like, my food wasn't cooked well, and they had I don't know. I'm not like a super complainer.
I feel like that's a question for the right person who has the story, and it's a great story.
Yeah, that's the thing with random.
You have failed me, random question generator.
Yeah, I'm so sick if I ever decide to like randomize my play, and then like the 5% of the time play comes up, and you're like, I know, I like don't want to do this play ever. Like, what's going on? And then you have to have like the stomach to actually go ahead and do that. Yeah,
for that 1 in 20 chance.
So I appreciate the question.
All right, I'm changing it.
Okay.
This one's actually good for you, even though I know you're not gonna have an answer. If you could live anywhere on Earth, where would you live?
That's my problem. I don't have a place to live. That's why.
You have lived everywhere on Earth.
Like the things I was looking for was, well, number one, you could play online poker there. Mm-hmm. And number two, English speaking, or maybe not number two, but number two is like a nice, like, first world kind of living environment. And then English speaking, and then like have a lot of international, or have a lot of flights, like a semi-hub, like from an airport.
Convenient.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things. And then like not have snow like Toronto and Montreal like too much.
Okay, so
like
you're ruling out. So eventually, when you get the picket fence and the dog, you're ruling out. The Great North.
I know. Like, so like I felt like in general Canada was like the best for me, and like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, all kind of.
I wish there was
work.
a part of Canada that was like south of Kansas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like that, those have been the holes. And then Mexico, I don't know. I mean, so many of my friends are saying that's where I should end up, and that's like pretty good. Even like I don't need a place right now for like 30 years. I need a place maybe for 6 months, or we'll take one step at a time.
Short-term housing.
Yeah. So I could see Mexico, Canada, but I could also see like a bunch of European countries, or I could really see a lot of places in the world, even like Australia if it was closer. But now actually they have online. It was great this year before Aussie Millions. I went like 3 weeks early. In the past, I'd gone up to Canada for Christmas because I'm Jewish and don't celebrate that. So it's a good time to grind online. And there's no live stuff. So I, work on my game, play online. But it was like I was always going to Canada, and it's like the worst time of the year.
Yeah.
So this year I went to Australia. It was great. It's summer there. It was so nice. It was relaxing. The timing was a little off. I was waking up at 4 a.m. But like I don't have a schedule. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
But it looks like I'm not going to be able to do that next year.
Nope.
Yeah, that sucks.
Get your shit together, Australia.
Yeah. It's like it's so bad. All these countries.
Also, get your shit together, US.
Yeah. That would be much better than Australia getting it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Australia was closer, and like I've liked it, and I have a lot of friends there, and I could see myself, but it's pretty far out.
All right. Well, I look forward to the day when that happens, but not too soon, because I want to see you keep crushing it on the circuit. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, Ari.
Thanks so much for having me.
That's the show. Thanks again to Ari. Be sure to follow him at Ari Engel Poker on Twitter to see where he currently is on the planet. We're getting close to wrapping up the first year of the podcast, and I know I'm biased, but I think the show is getting better each episode. Why don't you do us a favor and please rate and review the podcast on iTunes? Do that, and then send us an email to pokerstories@cardplayer.com to let us know, and we can hook you up with a digital subscription to Card Player magazine. Thanks for listening. Attention American poker players! Do you want to legally cash out your poker winnings to PayPal? Then head to globalpoker.com and see why it's the fastest growing site for US players. That's globalpoker.com.